Hey, what up, YouTube? It's your boy Sean, aka Sean Knight 3000. I'm here at work still, making sure everything is locked up tight, everything is secure. There are no alarms going off, nobody's screaming for help. Everything is quiet, as it should be. But it's also during these times when you don't have anything to do, which is kind of a double-edged sword in the world of security. You kind of want a quiet night when you're at work, but when it does get quiet like this, you realize just how boring it can be, and then you're fighting to stay awake, which is one of the reasons why you never go and sit down and get warm. Because, trust me, 10 minutes after you do that and it's boring and you're up all night and you realize the vast majority of the rest of the people in this country are asleep, you're going to join them. So here I am, walking around, doing rounds. As a matter of fact, I did 3 rounds in a row. I didn't even stop because each round takes about 25 to 35 minutes depending on how fast you walk. And as soon as you finish one, you're supposed to take a break. But like I said, if I take a break, I'm going to end up going to sleep. And the last thing I want to do is go to sleep and have a client decide that they're going to show up, because even though you're asleep, or even though the rest of the world is asleep, your client, who has a business to run, will have managers coming out to check on you. Check up on the property, make sure everything is running right, making sure that no equipment is broken, making sure that everything is secure. And worse than your supervisor catching you asleep, because at least if he were a supervisor, he's been where you've been, Chances are he started out as a regular security officer just like you, So, trust me, at some point in all of our careers, we've dozed off. Which is one of the reasons why when I was a field suit, and I would roll up and catch a guy, if he wasn't, shoes off, belt undone, pants open, shirt outside the pants, just, look, like he just dozed off, hey, I wouldn't give him a hard time, I tell him, hey, you need to stay awake, I pick him up, put him in the company car, drive him to White Hand Pantry or 7-Eleven or something like that, buy him a cup of coffee, on me. Because it was better for me if the guy was awake than it would be for him. Because if the client saw this guy sleeping on the job, they're going to wonder, well, where was your supervisor? And why didn't he remove you from this location if he found you asleep? So in situations like that, you don't want to bust the guy's chops for dozing off, But at the same time, you gotta keep the guy awake, So, like I say, buying someone a cup of coffee, it's not gonna break your bank account. In this line of work, being a field supervisor myself, and I did it for over 2 years, I've spent a couple $100 on my guys, You buy a guy, a pack of smokes if he works, an extra 4 hours for you, because his relief is running late. Or, like I say, buy a guy a cup of coffee on a cold night, or a night when the guy is kind of, he's fighting sleep. Or hell, I've even bribed guys, and I'm not afraid or ashamed to admit that. I've bribed some of my officers from time to time when I need a guy to do a double because his relief is just never going to show, and you have no floaters, and you got 2, maybe 3 other sites that are down at the same time, and you need that guy to stay an extra 8-hour shift. Hey, I have dipped into my wallet and pulled out some money and bought dinner or bought lunch for a lot of guys. It's part of the business, You sort of, that you wash my back, or, you wash my back, I wash yours, or one hand washes the other kind of thing. And being a supervisor, those are your guys, Every officer that's on your shift is your guy. Male, female, white, black, Hispanic, Asian, it didn't matter. whether they were walking around the garage all night or sitting in a hotel lobby all night or sitting at the front desk at ABC Channel 7 studios. All those guys were your guys, and you had to take care of them. So, hey, you take care of me, I take care of you. You needed something on your shift, don't worry, call your supervisor. Dixon will come and do it. That's what I did. And if a guy just he couldn't make it, you knew he was trying, but he just couldn't do another 8-hour shift. Hey, at that point, hey, I understand. You did as much as you could for me, and I appreciate it. Go home. At that point, my night of patrolling is over. Send him home. I do the hours myself. That's what you have to do. You have to look out for your guys. And down the line, your guys would return that favor. There have been a lot of times because like I said, back with my old company, we were middle of the road kind of company. We weren't as big as companies like Wells Fargo and Securitas, but we weren't small either. We would have maybe 200 to 300 guys per shift, and there would be times when we would have 5, 6 sites that would be down because guys just wouldn't show up or couldn't show up because of the weather. And at that point, you had to convince someone who was already on duty to stay, or someone it was their off day to come in. And guys who were off that owed me a favor, when nobody else in our company could get these guys to come in, I could call them up personally. And hey, I need you to do a favor for me. I'm working tonight. I need you to come help me out. I got such and such a post now. Can you help me? And even though it was their off day, sometimes the weather would be horrible. Snow, sleet, high winds, cold as a mother. These guys remembered, hey, Dixon has, helped me out a lot of times. In a lot of different ways. It wasn't just, buying somebody something to eat or buying a pack of smokes or buying, a cup of coffee. It was a lot of times you go to a site, and if a guy was patrolling outdoors, he didn't have a vehicle of his own, you go over there, put him in the company car, turn the heat up to maximum, let the guy sit in the company car. You go do a round, either on foot or in the company vehicle. The client really didn't care who was doing the rounds so long as the rounds got done. So you do that. If a guy is on his last leg and you can see the guy's exhausted. There have been times I've actually gone to a site where a guy was like, hey, Dixon, I need to get a little bit of a nap. That's the only way I'm going to make it through this shift. I take my lunch, go to his location. I got the car nice and warm in the winter time. Go over to the site, let the guy crawl into the back seat, take a nap. I set the post and ate my lunch there. So the client would always see that, hey, there's someone from security here. I let the guy sleep for 45 minutes, an hour sometimes, while I took my lunch break. The company honchos never knew about that, but it's just one of the little ways that you help your guys get through, sometimes doing a 12-hour or a 14-hour or a 16-hour shift, Or if a guy's come in on his off days, you wasn't planning to work that night. He's doing this as a favor to you. You don't have a chance to prepare yourself physically, mentally, to work when you've planned to be off that day. So, you do what you had to do for you guys. They would wake up, and trust me, a nap should never be anything more than 15 to 20 minutes. Anything more than that, and you've gone to sleep. But a good nap, 15, 20, sometimes a half hour, you wake up, you're refreshed, you can finish the rest of your shift. All you needed was that little bit of sleep. That 15, 20 minutes got you energized like the bunny, And you guys appreciated that. I remember when I first became a field supervisor, we had, a ton of guys who were here from Africa. And these cats were workaholics because they were sending the bulk of their money back to Africa to their families. So these guys were routinely doing 16-hour shifts. And before the end of the week was out, especially on Saturday and Sunday, by the time Saturday and Sunday rolled around, these guys were burnt out. But they still had, they insisted, hey, I can do another 16 hours. And of course, if you tell a security manager I can work 16, they will put your ass on a 16-hour shift. No problem. So they were working these guys to death. I'd roll by, guy would be on the verge of passing out, you would be so tired. I'd buy him a cup of coffee, because back then there was no Red Bull, no Monster, anything like that. You wanted an energy boost, you went out and got yourself a nice hot cup of coffee, But I go get these guys, put them in the back seat. I sit the post myself. All I do around, go back to the booth, do his paperwork. I sit there and do my paperwork. The client never knew. All they saw was a security guard there. They didn't know who was on duty. As long as they saw a security guy there, they were happy. Meanwhile, I let the guy go take a nap in the back of the cruiser. Little things like that, people remember. It's the small kindnesses, the small kindness that you do to someone add up. Everybody thinks, well, you have to do such big, elaborate things to get on someone's good side. People remember you more for the small things you do for them as opposed to the big things you do. And I took care of my guys. We would get paid every other, Thursday? The company would hand the supervisors these huge boxes full of checks. And you had to get checks out to your guys, so that they could get paid, so they wouldn't have to come to the office, and the company wouldn't have to mail their checks, and they're worried about snail mail. I'd bust my hump. I drive literally from one suburb to another, from downtown Chicago all the way out to Cicero, delivering checks. Some guys would tell you, hey, Dixon, I need my check before 6 because currency exchange closes at 6, blah, blah, blah. I put those guys at the top of my list. Other people didn't care because they were going to cash theirs the next day or they were going to deposit it directly into the bank. And like I said, we were a middle-of-the-road company, so we didn't have direct deposit. But you looked after your guys. You made sure the ones who wanted their check before 6 so they could cash it, they'd have money in their pocket to get home. Because sometimes, these guys would tell you, hey, I didn't know how I was going to get home if you didn't show up, Dixon. Hey, no problem. I've had guys, hey, I'm going to go cash my check. Can you watch this site for me? I'd be like, yeah, go ahead. You got 5 minutes. Guy would take off running, go to the currency exchange around the corner or whatever, cash his check, come running back. Happy. He got money in his pocket. What did that cost me? Nothing. I sat there at the site. Client saw a security guard. They saw a company vehicle with the company logo on the side. They were happy. Guys have come back. Man, thanks, Dixon. You a lifesaver. Not a problem. Throw the car and drive, take off. Go to the next guy. You tried to make sure every single person got their check before 11 o'clock, before they clocked out for the day. I've done other things as a field supervisor, that's above and beyond the call of duty. I've gone to people's houses and picked them up, believe it or not, in my own POV. Before I come to work, somebody can't make it to work, they figure, I'm going to be late. Hey, call Dixon. If I'm in the area or, hey, if I get a little extra time to spare, I'll go outside of my way to come and pick you up. I've done that quite a few times with quite a few of my guys. Pick them up, take them to their location, drop them off, then I go report in. Made sure they weren't late. The company knew where I was doing company business. My operations manager really didn't care. As long as he knew where I was and I was doing the company's business, he was happy. Hold on, who the heck is that? And one of the pitfalls of working night shift, you hear every hoot, holler, and it's the weekend. So you get a lot of people who are, shall we say, intoxicated. And this is weird. Maybe it's just, no, I'm going to say the last 3 years, it's been always been the same way. When women get drunk, they actually act a hell of a lot worse than men. Why is that? I've seen drunk women trying to climb a street lamp. Are you shitting me? What are you doing? You're drunk as 12 monkeys, and you're trying to climb a street lamp. For what? Because it's there? I don't get that. I've seen women so drunk that they literally pass out next to our building. And they're sitting there. Snow's coming down on the top of them, so they're covered in snow. And you think, oh my God, is this person hurt? Did this person get attacked? Then you go up and, excuse me, miss, can I help you? And then you're like, oh my God, you can smell the alcohol before you even got there. And it's like, so at that point, you just whip out your cell phone, you call 911 and let the problem be theirs, And it's like, how the hell did you get so drunk that you pass out on the street? You couldn't make it home. You couldn't make it inside a building where you might have a little bit of safety, not to mention you wouldn't be out in the cold and get hypothermia. And think about how many bad things can happen. If you're a female, think about how many bad things can happen if you're a guy passed out drunk on the street. Now, you're a woman passed out on the street. Nobody around that knows you. I guess all her friends that either took off and left her, or she didn't have any friends in the first place. At which point she was just coming from a club drinking or whatever the hell she was coming from. All I do know is I'm doing a perimeter check. I see somebody sitting next to the building covered in snow. It's like, what the fuck? And you're drunk. You're a female and you're drunk, sitting on the ground, covered in snow, passed out drunk. Anything and everything could have happened to this person. Like I say, I've seen a lot of drunk people in the past 3 years doing this job here, because I've been stationed at this one location for the last 3 years. I've seen drunk guys. I've seen people want to fight. I've seen one guy so drunk he damn near tore up a dozen vehicles trying to get his vehicle out of this location. I mean, the guy literally ran into, 10 vehicles trying to get his own out of here. I've seen people, dressed to the nines, driving Land Rovers and Range Rovers and Mercedes and Lexuses, and dressed in gowns and tuxedos and shit like that. And I've seen females wearing jewelry that had to be worth a couple $1,000, and yet they bitch and moan about $36 to get their vehicle out. But you mix alcohol, and that's what happens. Like I said, I've seen guys fighting each other. I've seen a couple of guys going at it. Look, you touched my wife. I caught the tail end of it. It didn't happen on our location. I looked over the edge of the building, and they were going at it. I'm like, damn. I wonder, did he touch his wife? Two drunk guys going at it while their wives are just standing there looking like, go ahead, baby, beat his ass. So you see a lot of weird things, but the most troublesome drunks are always the women. They do some of the wildest shit. They complain the most. I've had people threaten, I'm going to get you fired. I have nothing to do with how much you have to pay to get your vehicle out of here. Everything is posted when you first park. But now you don't want to pay. I am in agreement that parking should be free. But if you park your car someplace in a garage that's a paid site, you're going to have to pay to get your vehicle out. It's just that simple. It's not the same as parking on the street. And in Chicago, you have to feed the meter. If you don't, you will come out of the club, of the hotel, out of the restaurant, wherever it is you've been, and that will be a nasty little pink and white, or actually orange and white, surprise waiting on you when you come back to your vehicle. Having been the recipient of quite a few of those little orange and white presents myself, I can tell you, they are nothing nice to come home to. And you will be paying a whole lot more than to park here, which is one of the reasons why this place gets such incredible business. But the bulk of the people that don't want to pay are women. Like I said, I've actually had a woman argue with customer service. I come up, I ask, is there a problem? Because maybe it's a problem with the ticket, maybe it's a problem with the machine. No, she doesn't want to pay the $36 to get her vehicle, to get her Lexus out. And the moment I walk up to the window, you can smell the alcohol. And it's like alcohol and heat. The combination is just smacking you in the face. She's arguing with customer service, and then she turns her full attention to me. She puts the Lexus in park, undoes her seatbelt, opens the door, steps out, gets right in my face. She's threatening to literally tear me a new one because the ticket price is $36. I'm like, ma'am, it's posted when you drive in. If you're here for X amount of hours, it's going to cost X dollars. That's not what they said. They said I got my ticket validated. No, she didn't. I don't know what she wanted to pay. All I do know is that this went on for about 5 minutes, and at that point, all you can do, you step back, you put your hands in the air to let them know, hey, I'm not touching you, because one, you're on camera. Always bear that in mind. And two, you never want to put your hands on a client. You never want to put your hands on a customer. If they put their hands on you, that's a different beast. In the interim, you never want to put your hands on a customer. At that point, you step back, let her talk, let her yell, let her rant about how unfair it is, how unfair the taxes in the city of Chicago are, how everything is expensive. And then you start to remember, like, damn, my grandmother used to talk like that, you know? I remember when I was a little girl, the cost of a bottle of Coca-Cola was a nickel. If I had a time machine, you know what? If I had a time machine, I would go back in time and I would raid the shit out of the past. I would take a couple $1,000s into the past and I would raid the shit out of it. Because apparently everything was a nickel. That's the way these people, that's the way they clown. And under normal circumstances, they're the sweetest, nicest people in the world. But they've spent God only knows how many hours drinking. And now they want to get belligerent. It happens. You know, and it's almost always women. In fact, the story that I'm telling you about the woman that gets out of her car to confront me, her husband is sitting in the passenger seat. He's just sitting there looking at me like, and I'm looking like, can you help me? Can you get your woman under control? And he's doing what he's like. I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to put myself in the middle of that. And it's like, wow. I've actually caught 2 girls. I'm going to say that they were college age. Instead of coming to me, asking me, hey, can we use your washroom? No. Drop trowel, drop panties, squat down, piss on the site. All you had to do was come to me. Can we use your washroom? Yes, you can. I will let you use the washroom. Or I'll direct you to the washroom down the street at the hotel. They have one that you can use down there as well. There was no reason whatsoever for two young ladies to just drop trowel, drop drawers, and piss on private property. I've never seen guys do that. I'm sure guys that pissed all, actually, I have. Let me stop. I caught one guy. He paid for his ticket, and you get a 15-minute grace period. Once you pay for your ticket, you get a 15-minute grace period to go to your vehicle and get your vehicle out. If you don't, you're going to be charged again. Not the full price, but you will be charged again. I think it's the minimum. So this guy pays, and I'm standing right there when he pays, because I had just finished my rounds and I was going to do my paperwork. And instead of asking me for a washroom, he goes to his vehicle. I start my rounds. I come up. I see the guy. I see like this stream of liquid coming towards me as I'm coming up the ramp. And the first thing you think is, what the hell is this? You know, maybe someone's car is leaking something, you know. It could be motor oil, it could be transmission fluid. God forbid it's brake fluid, you know. But as I turn the corner, I can hear like the splash of piss on concrete. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'll yell, you know, like, what the fuck? His stream cuts off, like that. Turns around looking at me with that Glenn Close look, you know, from Mars Attacks. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that movie. You know what she does there? Look. I'm like, you just saw me downstairs. Why didn't you ask to use the washroom? Oh, I'm sorry. I just had to go. No, you wanted to piss on somebody else's property, jump in your vehicle and take off. It doesn't take, yes, that's a fire truck. If you live in the city long enough, notice, it never slowed down from the moment it was over here to the moment it was over here, because there is no traffic. It's 2 freaking o'clock in the morning. There is no traffic at all. None. No reason to run with anything but your cherries on. In other words, there's no reason to run with anything but your lights on. You don't need the whalers. You don't need the whalers at 3 o'clock in the morning. But the fire department will run with cherries and whalers on all the time, except during the busy day. Monday through Friday, during the work week, 9 to 5, they only run like that when they're in traffic. Weekends, they have the cherries and whalers on all the time. And it's unnecessary because there's zero traffic this time of night. Monday morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, there is nobody out. Not in this area at that time of night. There's nothing to warrant you running with your whalers on. Damn, I think I'm dating myself. I don't think too many people call them cherries and whalers anymore. But we used to. We used to refer to them as cherries and whalers. The lights spinning were circular like cherries, and they were red like the colors of cherries. And of course, whaler is self-explanatory. But like I say, there is no reason that if you're in public and you have to urinate or do a bowel movement, a BM, instead of going on someone's private property and then forcing their cleaning department to have to hose that, forgive me for saying so, hose that shit up. Find the nearest uniformed security officer. Ask that officer, do you guys have a washroom? Because I really have to piss and I don't want to piss on your property, or I really have to take a shit. And rather than have you take a shit or a piss on the property that they have to walk around for the rest of their shift, they will be more than happy to let you go and use the washroom. And here's another thing. Be courteous when you use the washroom. If a security officer lets you use the washroom at a site, remember, this is not your home. There have been a couple of times in my security career where I've let people use the washroom at the location where I was working, and the washroom is clean beforehand. And after the person leaves, it looks like a tornado just went through there. There's piss or shit everywhere, toilet paper everywhere. It's like, what the fuck happened? Why would you do this? Why would you go into a washroom that someone generously let you use to alleviate that pressure that was on your body? Because security doesn't have to let you do it. But why would you go in there and make such a mess? And if you do make such a mess because if you're in a hurry and accident happens, that's fine. Clean up after yourself. Like I say, be courteous. Because we don't have to let you use the washroom. We will. But we don't have to. And then that colors how the next time someone comes in is treated. Because security remembers, nah. Last time I let someone use the washroom, they put shit on the walls, they pissed on the floor, blah, blah, blah. You'll never get an opportunity to use the washroom again. And if you do go to a location and there's a guard there, you need to use the washroom and they tell you no, or they give you that classic line, no, we don't have a washroom here. That's the reason why. They're not being facetious, they're not being devious. In the past, someone has gone there, pissed on the floor, shitted on the floor, shitted on the seat, smeared shit on the walls, something. And security just learned. They're not going to go through that shit again. So that ruins it for the next person. It's unfortunate, but it happens. Wow, this video is long. Well, since I gave YouTube my cell phone number, they told me that I can upload longer videos, so let's find out if I can upload a longer video. But to make a long story, and it's too late now, I understand. To make a long story short, be generous if you use a washroom in a public place if a security guy lets you use it. Because they are under no obligation to let you use jack. 2, guys, if you're out with your lady and your lady's getting a little tipsy, get control of the situation. Get control of the situation. Don't let your lady climb street lights or fall asleep next to a building or any of the other dumb things that I've seen women do here. Just be mindful. Man up and control your woman. You know, I know it can be difficult. I've had those difficult women in my lifetime too. But control your woman. Because anything could have happened with that chick that was climbing the street light. That was on public property. That wasn't our property. So if she would have fallen, cracked her skull open, or killed herself, who do you think she's going to try and sue? Well, there is no one to sue. You decided of your own volition to climb a damn street light. And if I hadn't seen her and yelled, she would have made it to the top. Because I could see, I heard her before I saw her, laughing and loud talking and screaming. So that turned my attention toward where the sound was coming from. I go around the corner, and there's this woman climbing a street light. So I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Scared the shit out of her. She damn near fell. But she shimmies back down quick, faster than a real big hurry, can barely stand up. Now, how the hell are you going to climb a street light when you can barely stand up? But I forgot what the original gist of this story was going to be. So, yeah, I think I was talking about being a field supervisor. Anyway, I think I'd go to the office. Cleaning crew should be here by now. They usually start at 2 a.m. So I think I'll go check and see if they're here. There's a couple of things that they like to be informed about. I've seen while I was doing my rounds. I'll let them know that there is a little trash here, there, and a few other places for them to pick up. Personally, if I was doing that job, I wouldn't want someone to tell me, hey, there's extra work, but that is part of their job, you know. And they would rather me tell them than they miss it, and then our management contacts their management, you know. So I think I'll go downstairs and let these guys know that I've seen a little bit of trash on a few of the levels. That way they can be cognizant of that and take care of it during the night. If you stayed through this entire video, I thank you. Because I don't even think I'm going to watch the whole damn thing. But if you did, I thank you. This has been the ramblings of one dude at damn near coming up on 3 o'clock in the morning. Thank you again. I appreciate it. I'm going to end it here. Peace.